Do you think there's anybody freelancing who didn't make critical, epic failures? Well, nobody's free from that. Me, definitely not. So in this video, I want to share some of my biggest failures in my freelancing career. Hopefully you can avoid the same mistake by listening to the stories, or at least be entertained by me messing it up. Let's rock and roll. Hey designer friends, what is up? So today I want to share some of my failures. I've been mentioning, some of the things that went well in my freelancing business, trying to educate you, trying to help you step up your game, inspire you, and hope that you can have a great freelancing career as well. But I do think it's also important to talk about the failures. Nobody's free from them, and we can actually learn a lot from them as well. So let's start off with story number one of my biggest failures. It's actually the first actual freelancing project that I got paid for was an epic failure. And let me share why. So just for context, first freelancing project I'm getting paid for is, I'm still in high school, and this is actually a 3D project. There was somebody who came to me through, I think, a father of somebody who was in class with me, they had some kind of sketches of a biblical temple, and they wanted me to build this up and animate this in 3D. I was playing with 3D back in the time. And so I thought, yeah, I should probably do this. They offered to pay me. My father was kind of like smart enough to say, hey, you need to sign up some kind of a contract with them. We wrote something on a piece of paper, basically summing up, what I will deliver to them and how much money. And we went off to the races. This was actually a pretty long project. It went through, I think, like 4 or 5 months. Now, first part of the big failure here was that about let's say 70 or 80% after, like 80% through the project, my computer just crashed, lost it. I don't remember if this was a virus or hard drive crashing, and I lost most of the project. Again, 3 or 4 months of work just completely ruined, and I'm like few weeks away from a deadline where I have to deliver. Now, imagine you going out to the client and say, hey, I know we have a deadline in like 2 weeks, but I actually lost all the work. But this is basically what happened. I actually scrambled and worked like crazy to try to rebuild everything that I did. Now, of course, I have to do it all from scratch, but also I've already understood how to solve most of the difficult things, so I could rebuild some of it very quickly. Actually, the truth is, I think the end result was even better because I got to do it again and improve a little bit, but I had to scramble and work so hard. Ever since doing that, I learned the lesson of you need to have a backup. Now, I basically have, just so you understand my current setup, I'm having like a real hard drive that is syncing to the time machine backup of the Mac. I'm also backing up with a service called, I think, Backblaze or something like that, that backs up my computer to the cloud. On top of that, I have a Dropbox, which I'm uploading some stuff that I want to make sure that are backed up. So now I'm backing up like my computer 3 times because I never want to have this failure again of me having to redo months of work just because I lost a file. So that was critical. That being said, that's not the end of the failure in this project, because it gets even better. When I finished the project, I delivered it, and I think they wanted to do some more changes, which I either couldn't do or I didn't want to do. And basically I said, that's it, the project is over. And I think at that point they were saying, the client told me something like, no, I actually remember, they wanted to do some more stuff and I've asked for more money for it and they wouldn't pay. So they said, all right, just give me the files and I'll do it myself, is what the client said. And I basically said, no, I'm not giving you the files. In our contract, I didn't promise to give you the original files. I hold the files. If you want to do some more stuff with those files, you gotta pay me. Which probably, from a legal perspective, I could have done that. Today, I would not do this. Today, I would never try to lock in a client and have them pay me. Today, I would just say, you want the files, they're yours, you paid for it, go do it yourself if you don't want to work with me or if you don't want to pay me. But back then I was like, you either pay me or you're not getting the files, something like that. And the client actually got very, very pissed off, and they were like, we're coming to your house to take the files now. And I'm reminding you, I'm a kid at high school at that point, like home alone. Kids, my parents are at work, and I'm like, oh my God, this person is coming, like older person is coming to my house to take my files. And I like completely panicked, ran out of the house. And so, at the end of the day, we've settled it. But as I've mentioned, I would not do this again today, mainly because I don't want to lock people into contract with me. It doesn't really matter if, in the contract I own the files. Today, I basically tell people, if you completely paid what our contract says, then you can have all of the files and you're not locked in. If they're not paying, that's something different, but that wasn't the case back then. And so like two takeaways from this story is: one, always back up your work. Second, learning for me was, you don't want to lock people into working with you and forcing them to pay you if they don't want to work with you. Again, assuming they've delivered on the original promises. But give them everything they need if they want to keep doing it on their own. Give them the files, they've paid for it. The second failure project that I want to tell you about is also through my, kind of like early years as a freelancer. I think it was post high school. I was already, afterwards. And a friend of mine from high school, we were still friends from high school, and he was starting his own business with his girlfriend, and they were like, hey, Ron, we know that you're doing great design. We want you to do a logo and kind of like a mini branding project for this project. And it sounded like a pretty cool project, and he was my friend. I loved working with him. So we always have this uncomfortable conversation, that you have when you work with friends, which is, I don't feel like, you're my friend, so I want to give you a special price. Perhaps you shouldn't pay me. And the guy says, no, I really want to pay you. I don't want you to work for free. And so you end up on a price, which the learning of the story is nobody's really happy about this price, because you feel like, all right, he's my friend, I'm giving him a discount. The other guy thinks like, he's my friend, I'm just giving him something so that he's not frustrated. But then nobody's really happy about this. What happened in this story is that I did a logo for them, and they started asking for more and more revisions. In this case, by the way, I don't think we had any contract whatsoever. And I tried helping them and do more and more revisions. At the end of the day, I was like, look, friends, you're not paying me forever to work on this. We did like a gazillion revisions up until this point. And so, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to work on it anymore. By the way, I think the price for this project was around $100, just for context, okay? So, I was like, look, you've paid me $100. I've been working on this for weeks now. I can't keep working on it forever. So here's what we have so far. It is what it is. You want this, take it or leave it, basically, is what I said. And like, they really took it bad. Actually, I remember the girlfriend of my friend, which was his business partner, she actually started crying. They were at my house. She started crying like, I can't believe it. We don't like this. We gave you money for this, and now we're stuck with this something that we don't like and is unusable for us, and we've lost our money. And it was really tough. And remember, this guy was my friend, and I think for a long period after this happened, we weren't friends anymore. It was very uncomfortable for us to speak. And again, this was for $100, which, in the big context of life, is not a lot of money to lose a friend for. So my learning from this is that you really have to be careful when you're doing work for your friends. My policy today would be, never ever take money from friends or family. Just help them out because you want to help them out, but put the context that, I'm going to help you out for free, but it's not unlimited. I'm going to do what I can, but at some point I might stop, or at least perhaps if I'm doing this for free, maybe I want to retain some creative freedom and not do something that I don't like doing. And so yeah, but taking money from friends and family can put a lot of strain on the relationship, and sometimes they don't recover. And so you really want to consider this. If you're getting into this, you don't want to lose a family member or a friend for $100. So that's story number 2. The third story is actually from pretty much later in my career. I was already freelancing, for 10 years probably at that point. I was charging higher rates and doing very good projects. And in this case, I wasn't actually working alone. I had a friend who was kind of like a project manager of website project. And he got this actually amazing clients from a different country. We were based in Israel. He found this great clients over in Poland. It was a very cool, actually, fashion brand. And the project was to design kind of an online magazine for them. Now that was a fantastic project, both, think about the category fashion, online, magazine, which can be very exploratory, and you could do really cool stuff. I was really excited about working with this brand. I was really excited about having this project as a portfolio piece for me. The pay for the project was also pretty good, so I was happy. So my friend was the project manager. He brought me on as the designer. He brought on somebody else as a developer to work on this project. Basically, he set up the deal for us, and we got off working on this project. Again, very fun. We did explore some very cool ideas. Been working on it, I think, again, like 75% of the time and process. We did a bunch of sketches, we got feedback, we had all the calls kind of on basically Zoom calls to get feedback from the client. And I remember not really understanding from their feedback if they're liking it or they don't liking it. I remember the connection was pretty choppy and I wasn't really clear on how they're feeling about this. And what ended up happening was that after we've finished all of the brainstorming, all of the wireframing, all of the actual design and prototyping, like a week or so before the development, and again, very close to the deadline, they were like, actually, you know what? We actually do not like this, and let's try something new, okay? And this was, again, we're very close to the deadline. Now we have no clue. I mean, we thought you said you like this. Now you're just telling us we don't like this. We don't even know what else to do. I mean, so that was kind of like, we were shocked. We didn't really know what to do. We ended up brainstorming our team here in Israel, and we came up with the solution. The solution that we thought is going to save this is if we're actually going to fly there over to Poland to be with them and do a sprint of a few days working closely with them to try to really understand what they were thinking, work closely so that we can iterate very fast so that we can make up for all of this lost time and lost communication. So we did this. We flew over there. It was actually very fun sprint, like a web design sprint. We worked on it. We got it approved. And then basically we had to fly over here to finish up the development of this project. That being said, it didn't really, although the flying there was fun and somewhat successful, coming back here, the development never really reached the end result, both because the developer that we had on our team was a little bit sketchy and couldn't really deliver on time. But from the client's perspective, they ended up again in somewhat not being happy, and I think they eventually kind of scrapped the project, and that never ended up being a real project. Now, I think that, to me, that was a huge failure. I mean, I got paid, I think, most of the money for the project, but it was still a failure because that project never came to fruition. We gave a lot of effort on it. We've actually, because we paid for flying over there to try to fix up this mess, we actually lost some of the money that we were supposed to make because we were paying out of it from our own pocket. One thing that I learned here was really about the importance of communication, about understanding what it is that you're trying to solve here, understanding to get really approval at every step of the way, and really understanding the client and this is very, very difficult, especially with working with clients remotely with videos, which sometimes makes communication hard. You really, really want to make sure that everything is aligned and that they are liking the direction of the project and where it's going for, and work with a lot of references. And have a really, really tight communication, and also make sure that everybody is on your team, the people who are going to develop it and manage it, and whoever else is on your team is also a top player, because that can also compromise the whole experience of the project and perhaps even make it a failure. So make sure you work with good people and make sure that communication is key. You're very clear on the goals, you're very clear on what you're trying to achieve, and you're very clear on the feedback that you're getting from your clients. That being said, I don't want you to be discouraged because of these failures. These things happen all the time. Mistakes happen, failures happen, but as long as you keep on doing and you hit more good ones than right ones, at the end of the day, there's a growth trajectory, and freelancing is amazing. So if you're like me and even your first project has been a failure, don't be discouraged. Things do get better, and as you learn to be a better communicator, better designer, better service provider, things become really, really incredible. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments some of your big failures as freelancers. We'll try to come up with content to help you avoid them. Make sure that you're subscribed to our channel for more design, web design, and freelancing videos. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.